8 people were killed, 7 others were hurt. Police identified the gunman as 33-year-old Mauricio Garcia. He was shot and killed by a police officer who was already at the mall on an unrelated call. Now, we do want to warn you, some of the video you're about to see is difficult to watch. We are not going to show anyone being struck by gunfire. Now, police are reviewing this video very closely. It shows the moment the gunman jumped out of his car and opened fire on innocent shoppers. Investigators say he was armed with an assault-style rifle and a handgun, and that he was wearing a tactical vest. Say he also had more weapons and ammunition in his car.
People saying he wasn't a white supremacist are fucking lying, obviously. Like, he was. He's Hispanic. So the shooter was Hispanic. Didn't he have the RWDS patch on his vest? Yes. He had the right-wing death squad patch on his vest. That was one of the immediate details that came out of the shooting, and people were like, well, he's Hispanic. How could he be fucking a white supremacist? And there's a major thread about all of his ties to the white supremacist movement. He was a big Tim Pool fan. He watched a bunch of videos on his YouTube that is like still public at this point, like still public profile at this point. He was very clearly a white supremacist. Let's continue with the details, and then I'll get to all the discourse surrounding
how it all unfolded and what is the latest on the investigation.
As you heard there, people are still in shock and disbelief, those who were here and witnessed or experienced all of this unfolding. And all of the witnesses say that this came out of nowhere. They were enjoying a Saturday afternoon shopping when all of a sudden, as you saw in that dash cam video, someone pulls up to the mall, gets out of the car, and just starts firing. Yeah, so they have identified him as a 33-year-old male, and senior law enforcement officials tell us that they are looking at investigating this crime as something that could have been racially or ethnically motivated. We know that senior law enforcement officials say they have seen hundreds of social media posts from this suspect that is espousing neo-Nazi rhetoric and also...
Yeah, they're like, what? What? But his name sounds Mexican. What? I mean, one of the most famous white nationalists in the country has the last name Fuentes. Like, the fuck is wrong with you? What are you, fucking stupid? Are you oblivious to this reality? Here, I'll do you one further. I mean, Candace Owens, she's black. She's a white supremacist. What are you talking about? Attila Hildmann in Germany is like the leader of the QAnon white supremacist movement there. He's fucking Turkish. White supremacist just means you think white people are superior and you are advocating for their best interests and you want to ethnically cleanse everyone who's not, like all marginalized groups. It doesn't matter if you are personally not white. It's not even a gotcha at this point. And this dude made no mistake. Like he basically told you what he is. He showed it to you.
From what I've seen of the guy, I mean, I didn't see any red flags that described what he had, apparently been said that they had done.
And the sense I got from speaking to those neighbors is that people would say hello in passing, but didn't really seem to know him. And I should point out that police, while they are investigating the white...
No red flags, he had Nazi tattoos? Bro, what do you think? He just like goes to the fucking public pool with his tattoos, showing it to his fucking neighbors and shit? Like, you know what I mean? What is this? If a mass shooter is a white supremacist, a Mexican cartel member, a trans activist, a schizophrenic, a huge fan of Biden, a huge fan of Trump, or anything in between, this ought to be demonstrated with evidence, not uncorroborated projections based on vague anonymous leaks. Oh yeah, he was doing the whole like, I'm skeptical of this, by the way. Oh, he still did it. He did the... If having white supremacist beliefs no longer means believing the innate superiority of whites to other inferior races, then maybe pick a different term of the beliefs you're describing rather than always going to provoke the most angry emotional reaction. Sometimes it's fair to say someone has white supremacist beliefs. For instance, El Paso mass shooter in 2019 and Buffalo mass shooter in 2020 to explicitly express such beliefs. That doesn't mean it's an inherently elastic term that's just synonymous with bad. This is my favorite. Check the replies. Dear fucking R-word. Why would a Mexican be a white supremacist? You fake news shill. Maybe you should focus on getting your ratings up before you call a pregnant woman a fuckhead on Twitter, bitch. Yeah. How could that happen? I mean, there's so much more. Like every right-wing person. Based on the shooter's post, his primary interest seems to be heavy metal type music, sprinkled in with assorted Nazi stuff, including a Hitler cartoon icon he appears especially proud of. No manifesto-style articulations of belief, but still very screwed up and depressing. No, this is him like leaning into like the, okay, maybe he was a Nazi type shit, okay? Who knows how much of a Nazi this guy is? Oh, wait, we do know how much of a Nazi this guy is. Guess what, dude? Here's some indication. This was immediately noticeable, the right-wing death squad patch on his fucking gear. But hey, guess what, dude? he had also these tattoos, it seems, which feels like, and he titled it, "Here's what I think about your diversity, you fucking losers." I feel like guys, I don't want to rush to any fucking conclusions here, okay? It feels to me like this guy might be a Nazi. I mean, oh, you guys call everybody a Nazi. Oh, what do we mean? We might never know. We might never know. He had the Texas tat on the shoulder. He had the Deus Vult tat on his arms. I mean, dude, cops recognize their own, okay? Let's be real. They probably saw the Deus Vult tat and were like, oh, this guy's a fucking white supremacist. So yeah, there is a lot going on here because a lot of Nazis love being extremely online. So once you fucking figure out what their account looks like online, all of a sudden you've opened up Pandora's box to all of the nitty gritty, all of the details, all of the things that they genuinely believe. Steven Crowder coming out with the ironic. Steven Crowder saying this. Interesting.
We have not been able to find them yet. We have been able to find official statements from the police chief saying we do not have a motive. That doesn't stop CNN from saying right-wing death squad, which, by the way, someone could also put that on there to troll, like we saw what happened, remember, with Christchurch. Yeah. This happened where he said, I was inspired by Candace Owens and by Ben Shapiro to shoot up, I believe, was it a church? Or was it a synagogue? I believe in Christchurch. I think it was a synagogue, yeah. Synagogue, it's tough to keep track. So this is important because the truth does matter here.
Was Christchurch, the shooting in Christchurch, was that a fucking synagogue or a church? It was neither, dog.
I believe, was it a church or was it a synagogue? I believe in Christchurch.
It wasn't a church. And it wasn't a synagogue, you fucking idiot. It was a mosque. It was a mosque. It's like so far beyond his like realm of comprehension. Flashback to I Write OK's 2019 Bellingcat article on how mass shootings have been gamified with the Allen shooter talking about a decent kill score in Nashville. This was his suicide note, basically. This was his fucking manifesto. RIP to all my victims and my condolences, Foyd Soy. Real men don't murder innocent victims, Chad. I mean, he's like literally fucking memeing. Bro, he's memeing while he's fucking writing this. Like he's putting emotes while he's fucking writing this shit. Now, the reason why I'm reading this, especially in this fucking community, okay, is because these are people who are extremely online on the other side, okay? Some of them are in here right now. Some of them are fucking in here in this very moment. Some of them are in here and changing their behavior, learning, and hopefully not becoming and not going further down in this pipeline. But let's be fucking real. This is a terminally online dude who went in the opposite direction. Just because the shooter is trans doesn't mean trans lives don't matter. Soy. No. Fuck all this noise. It's also empty, fake, and boring. Every school shooting to me is the perfect time to be a completely horrible person and see this event like a sport or a comedy. The most important thing about a school shooting is to know the race of a person who did it, the kill count, and then compare their accomplishments of murder to all those who came before. And also, learn intricately the life of the killer so memes can be made. Because let's face it, killing people in an interesting way is an art that earns a lot of respect just inherently. The tenuousness of life forces it to be this way, and to play into the moral banality of it as normies do is kind of gay to me. It's funny how pomp and circumstance, the murder reaction, has become this forced solemn church moment we all are forced to affect around in public in order to feel normal, when the reality is I just know a lot of people are just like me and want to revel in the schadenfreude. The media fucking proves it. They will never miss an opportunity to cover the event and cater the coverage exactly to sick fucks like me, because the heart of the matter is we all know it's just a fucking spectacle at this point, and the spectacle is always the killer far more interesting than the boring fucks who were killed. There's always humor in darkness. He's way too fucking self-aware. He's like incredibly online, incredibly fucking self-aware, incredibly aware of this shit. So the Nashville shooting was particularly interesting to me because a bitch broke the ER barrier with a decent kill score for the first time. This is like the greatest accomplishment of feminism ever for a Foyd. I don't even know what that is, even though T word, but still a vagina haver to feel so empowered that they could take it upon themselves to pick themselves by the bootstraps, get their gear in order, and successfully go ER is a moment Valerie Solanas would be proud of. Only feminism could have taken biological women to the logical extreme of embodying the highest pinnacles of toxic masculinity. This was his post from April 21st, the right-wing death squad patch next to the Punisher logo, of course. Punisher decal, a classic. He was trying to be the Zodiac killer, I guess. See if you losers can solve this. I give you a hint, but even the smallest hint would give me away. While I'm off to watch my favorite show on Sci-Fi. I mean, I can smell this post. You know what I mean? I can quite literally fucking smell this post from a mile away. It's literally like, oh, I'm such an anime villain. Like, no, you're not. You're a fucking pathetic loser who couldn't cut it in real society. So you literally decided to take the fucking route of hatred. And instead of like fixing your fucking brain, fixing yourself, fixing your body, fixing your mind, fixing your soul, finding a sense of fucking purpose, you went in this direction that a bunch of other fucking shitty, sweaty, crusty losers do, and you went down this goddamn rabbit hole, and you became this pathetic psychopath who, oh man, everyone should be fearful of me. I'm a big bad white supremacist guy, even though, you know, other white supremacists would probably are currently, actually, as a matter of fact, considering you to not be a real white supremacist, despite your fucking tattoos, despite your despite how much you put down for the cause, right? Immediately, the right wing, once again, goes, oh, no, that guy's like a gay Nazi. That's not one of us. He's not a real Nazi. He's gay and a Fed. New narrative just dropped. I can admit when I'm wrong. I thought he was tied to the cartel. New evidence shows him with Nazi tattoos. He's more likely tied to Ukraine than the cartel. Dude, that's awesome. But yeah, as we were saying, he had a Hitler emoji. He had a Hitler smiling emoji avatar on his OK.ru and his YouTube account. Worth noting that the Allen shooter didn't have any friends or groups on his OK profile. He used it like a personal diary. He may have chosen OK because it has virtually zero content moderation. Christ, just noticed this. He was at the mall. He did the attack 3 weeks prior. He was monitoring the peak visiting times on Google. Here's some of his screenshots. The receipt for the kit that Allen, the Texas shooter, bought back in 2020 posted a few weeks before the shooting. He also posted photos of his weapons. I mean, he literally fucking posted his shit. Like he posted his, all the weapons that he was using. Boxes upon boxes of ammunition that he apparently received a few weeks before the shooting. These photos were posted at the same time he took pictures of the Allen Mall. I guess we'll never know if this guy was a liberal or fascist. My kind of people. Oh, this is that famous. No, this is literally this is in Mexico, isn't it? I remember this. This is a wedding, a Nazi wedding that they did in Mexico. Yeah. But in summary, the Allen shooter was obviously a white supremacist neo-Nazi. He was basically announcing that he was going to do a mass shooting for months beforehand and planned his target weeks in advance. He also posted his handwritten personal diary. Everything I've seen shows that this is about the most textbook mass shooter you'll ever find, and he tells you about it every step of the way. He'll be a reference point for decades on mass shooters because he shared so much. Also forgot to post this earlier, but I found his OK profile by searching for active profiles on the filters of his birthday, those living in the US and male. About 50 results, and the Hitler smiley face avatar made it an easy pick for my first choice of checking if it was him. Noticed by Jake Godin, the Allen shooter was a big fan of libs of TikTok and signed off on one of his posts with Heil Hitler. In the dash cam video of the shooter getting out of the car,
mass shootings across this.
It seems to me like he saw something in particular, made a decision, got out and started shooting. As info emerged, I'm not thinking what he saw was an Asian American family. He wanted to target minorities.
Ever since Uvalde, we've seen mass shootings across this nation, and cops come out and they tell you who died. They tell you who the shooter was. They tell you what the motivation was. And they do it all within 24 hours. Hell, they do it all within a few hours. And some of them show you the body cams that day. You saw that in Tennessee. You saw that in Chicago. You saw that in California. And you see it all the way all across this country.
Bro, this literally happened in fucking El Paso, like under the Trump administration.
You don't see it here. And you don't see it here because there's one man in a center office in this building that doesn't want you to see what's going on. And he tells his top cop, you're in control here, man. Keep it quiet. Don't tell people that the people that died in Allen, Texas were mostly minorities. Don't have that conversation because I'm going to go down to the border and blame Biden for some bullshit that's not existent, right? We can talk about that, but that's not what today's about. Today is about the reality. We are in a more dangerous state because of loose gun laws that allow everybody to walk down Congress with a gun, and a cop can't even ask you one question as to why. I promise you, if it was a black man or a brown man walking down Congress, they'd figure out something, wouldn't they, Ron? And so that's what's happening in this country. That's what's happening in this state.
So I was walking with my friend past to one store, and when we had reached a particular location, I'd heard two pops go off, and at that time I was unsure. I'd looked over towards the north of me, and I'd seen what looked like, adolescents running. So briefly I thought it might have been a prank, but then nearly instantly after that, the massive rapid gunfire began to occur. And at that point, I just shy of threw my friend behind a concrete pillar, a covering support for the walkway, and got behind there myself.
You're in the middle of a mass shooting. For most people, it's just a story we read on the news and then people go on to the next thing. I've heard you say it's important that people hear the details of how horrible this is, because I don't really think people understand how horrible this is. Can you share that part of the story from your perspective?
They will.
So
They will. No, I mean, I don't even think she's that wrong. They will, statistically speaking. You know what I mean? It's not off base to assume eventually that, like, you will see it due to a loved one or yourself directly at this point. We're so incredibly fucked, dude. I mean, unfortunate reality is that the more people understand the horrific details of a mass shooting and the more people understand the trauma, the more they become desensitized to it. You know what I mean? Because we're American. We have no way of solving these problems. So we just, like, take it at face value and decide actively that it's a part of our fucking daily existence. For example, look at homelessness. There's a video from that Oliveira guy that went into the Jeffrey Epstein Island that I was watching last night on YouTube, where he went to Kensington. And the situation is so fucking dire, man. There's, like, you know, heroin needles everywhere on the fucking streets, like, and the solution is to basically turn around and you know, put casinos inside of fucking bodegas. You know, it's great. One victim died as Spain Howard performed CPR on him. There was nothing I could do. I mean, the stories are fucking brutal, dude. The stories coming out of this are so incredibly fucking brutal. Like 8-year-olds showered in the fucking blood of their parents as their parents' like lifeless bodies covered them in their final moments to ensure that they survived. You know what I mean? That's it. That's what it is.